Well, hello, and welcome to my world. My name is Totsie Haversteak, and this is Time with Totsie. I'm just terribly thrilled to have you back in my little home again, aren't I, Pussy? Oh, Pussy's terribly happy. I'm not terribly happy with Pussy right now because, of course, she has been driving me absolutely wild. Oh, my goodness. All winter long, she does nothing but scratch, scratch, scratch. You know I'm talking about you, don't you, Pussy? She scratches. She's terribly dry and flaky. But this morning, when I was just trying to get to sleep, Pussy began licking herself in the most awful way. I mean, really, it was just terrible. You were just an awful little pussy to be licking in that fashion. And woke me up, kept me up, drove me absolutely wild. So we're really on very bad terms right now, but I do love my Pussy terribly. And I know you love my Pussy terribly, and you haven't even met her. She's just an inspiration to me. She really is. Little Jose has given me the most wonderful ideas. I listen to absolutely everything that he says. Really, I do. And so we decided to mix it up, as he says, and to make this a little bit more interesting for some of you, that I would change the format just ever so slightly. So tonight, Totsie is sitting on the other side of her sofa. Isn't that wonderful? I think that's just perfectly marvelous. And considering how absolutely dreadful Pussy was last night, I don't mind being a little bit further away from her, do you? Oh, that's wonderful, delicious. Oh, it's absolutely marvelous. Now, I received the most delightful electronic message from a lovely lady by the name of Crystal Decanter. I think that's a delightful name, don't you? It sounds very French, and I think I approve of that. Well, certainly certain things in the French nation I approve of. Her name is, of course, one of those things. She says, a great big thank you for your recent recipe of baked beans and raisins. And of course that had sardines in it, if you'll remember. She says she tried that out yesterday evening, and the memory lingers on. Isn't that delightful? She'll remember that for some time, I'm sure. And she says, by the way, I just love your little kitchen. It reminds me of my mother's little stove when I was growing up on the farm in Iowa. Isn't that delightful? Crystal Decanter was a little milkmaid, I'm sure she was, but dear, you must know, I really must inform you that it's pronounced Ohio, not Iowa. Who's ever heard of that? She says, next Sunday I'll be attending church services at Our Lady of Perpetual Propriety, at which time, you know, I really don't know what that means. It must be Roman Catholic. They have the most obscure names for their churches. Most churches, I mean real churches, would have names like St. Anne or St. John the Divine or something like that, but really, Our Lady of Perpetual Property. Oh, propriety, I see there, yes, but that still doesn't make sense to Totsie, does it to you? I don't think so. She says she'll send me a recipe that they have at that church for tuna surprise. Well, isn't that delightful? One with the potato chip crust. Well, that's quite interesting, isn't it? She says it's usually served with shaky green jello and those wonderful little marshmallow toppy things. Well, I really don't know what that is, but I'm sure it's quite delightful. Don't you think so, Pussy? And you'll look forward to that, won't you? Because you love tuna as much as Totsie does. Now, I have a few questions from you, and I must say that some of your questions were terribly personal, and I think I do think, I really think that if I am going to put myself out there on the World Wide Web and share with you all of my experience and my wisdom, I think no corner of Totsie's life should be barred from investigation, but there are some areas that are private, so I won't share those with you. In this case, she says, why did you call your nanny Fracky? Did you mean Frankie? Now, really? Pussy, no, you know that's true, because last night I spoke to you in the most cross fashion. Totsie means what she says, and she says what she says, and she means it. She does. So I am not making this up. Her name was Frankie. Well, at least that's what she was called by us. And my memory is perfectly good. Totsie's not that old that she'd start forgetting things. There's nothing wrong with Totsie's brain. But we called our dear, darling little Irish nanny Fracky because, of course, she fell down the stairs several times and broke her arm, and I believe her wrist and her ankle, indeed, several times. And I suppose that was due to the fact that she was Irish and drank a lot, and you really can't blame it. I'm sure it's genetic or something like that. But we called her Fracky because, of course, she had so many fractures. Now, my dear father, Cornelius, as you know, he was called Briggs Vandertot, called our dear Fracky Mickey, but she did not approve of that. That darling little Irish nanny of mine just did not like the name Mickey, so we called her Fracky. If Fracky was 102 when she died, how old was she when she started with you? You said she was a girl. How old does that make you? Now, really? Now, there are certain things that I can live with, but asking me continually how old I am is terribly rude. Don't you think that's rude, pussy? No gentleman or lady would ask a lady how old she is. I mean, really, so do stop asking. I just don't want to be rude or unpleasant in any way. I think that's really awful. Well, we called her Girl, of course, because she worked for us. What do you do to fill your days, Totsie? You said you don't read newspapers and don't have a computer. Do you watch TV? Well, I have to tell you, I have not read a newspaper, as I said, since 1968, and I don't intend on doing that. And I don't have a computer. Please, just make little notes to yourself, and then you won't have to ask me these questions and tire dear Totsie out. Now, I used to love to watch television, especially the Father Dowling series and Murder, She Wrote, but the one television station that Totsie had quite mysteriously last year disappeared, so I assume they went out of business. Now, my dear darling sister, Elizabeth Vandertot, whom I have probably only mentioned in passing, she's terribly nice. She really is. And she does have money, but she has never married, and I find that very peculiar, don't you, pussy? I think that's terribly strange that she hasn't married, and I'm quite concerned about it. She is very, very handy, and she's quite mechanical and artistic, and I think that would be a wonderful catch. My dear sister Elizabeth sent me a book of little puzzles called Sudoku, and I have worked on that one puzzle for nearly 3 months, and I can't figure it out. It's quite complicated, and I assume that Sudoku is some sort of Oriental or African term of some sort, so perhaps it's foreign and I don't understand it, but I've not been able to finish it. However, I spend every day at least 10 minutes a day working on it. Now, where do you go to eat, and what do you like to eat? Well, Totsie is economizing, so she doesn't go out to eat very much, but when she does, she goes to the regional hospital cafeteria. It's much better than those Roman Catholic ones. And of course the Jewish people have hospitals, but their food is mostly unpronounceable, isn't it, Pussy? Well, that is all I have for now. That's it. Really, it is. This is Totsie Haversteak, and this was Time with Totsie.